Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live. We're just having a little screw up with our Instagram account, so we'll just have to drop it, and they'll have to get a replay. I'm here to give you the lowdown on this week's New Year's live streams on December 30th and December 31st, 2024, to end the year en beauté, as the French say, which means beautifully. Before we go any further, I want to remind you, if you're following us on Facebook, to like or follow us. If it's on YouTube, to go to our channel page and click on the subscribe button. And to like or follow us on Facebook, you need to go to our Facebook page, Access Arts Live, and click on like or follow there. Just liking the video doesn't get you hooked in. And the same thing is true on X. And why do you want to get hooked in? Because we have already, in the first 6 months of operations, provided you with information about over 600 live streams. And we've given you the live links to get to them. That's in 6 months' time. If you subscribe or follow us for 2025, I guarantee you'll get notices and live links to more than 1,000 live streams during the course of the year. I'm talking about opera, I'm talking about ballet and modern dance, I'm talking about choral concerts, orchestras, chamber music, modern advanced compositions, piano recitals, piano competitions, organ recitals, and more. Theater festivals. There'll be the CBU Theater Festival coming up with all sorts of live streams of theater pieces in June. And there'll be more before then. So click on follow us or like us on our main Facebook page, or on X, or on YouTube, please, for your own sake, and join the global audience. Now, let's get down to this week's live streams. Artbene and the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow have 2 live stream concerts for you today, December 30th, and tomorrow, December 31st. Are you familiar with sand animation art? Well, if not, you have a chance to become familiar with it this week, today, in a little over an hour, in about an hour and a half from now. In a concert illustrating scenes from Tchaikovsky's ballets, with artist Lydia Miller, accompanied by the Moscow Regional Philharmonic, the Catholic Cathedral Organ, and a harpist. This will be at 7 o'clock in Europe, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 a.m. on the West Coast. And you could get more details about that in our live stream reports. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. This concert will be at will be featuring scenes or extracts from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, Swan Lake, and the Sleeping Beauty, and there'll also be an organ solo of a piece by César Franck, but they haven't told us what the piece is. There will be the harpist is Anna Skurovskaya, the organist, and on the celesta also is Marina Omelchenko, who's the Roman Catholic Cathedral organist. It's the Moscow Regional Philharmonic. Now, if you don't know about this sand animation, you can see from that photo there what it looks like, and it's during the concert, Lydia Miller will be sculpting scenes in the sand, the scenes that go with these different scenes from the ballets. And sand animation is, you could call it a 20th century art form. It was more or less invented by an undergraduate art student at Harvard, Caroline Leaf, back in 1968. Now, it's interesting because in the 60s, Harvard was only just beginning to admit a few women students. Before the 60s, it was the women students had to go to Radcliffe. So Caroline Leaf was already exceptional. And anyway, she did a film called Sand using this animation technique with sand. And so there are more and more people who've become expert at it and developed it, cultivated it as an art form. Now, I ran across an article listing the top 10 sand animators in the world. Here are the countries they come from: Egypt, India, Belarus, China, Ukraine, Israel, Albania, Hungary, Netherlands, and Canada. So this art is all over the place. If you don't know about it, Now might be a time to find out about it in just about an hour and 25 minutes. I say that because it is now 5:35 in the evening in Europe as I am live streaming this, and the concert's at 7 o'clock European time, an hour and 25 minutes from now. Then tomorrow, December 31st, Artbene brings you a New Year's concert from the Cathedral. It's organ and vocals. And the vocalist, I have to be careful with this name, is Zargal Sirendagbaeva, a soprano. She has a YouTube page. We will give you the link to it, in which she refers to herself as the Zargala. She's going to be singing a program. It reminds me when these young artists do something so ambitious, it reminds me of that poem by Vachel Lindsay, "Let not young souls be smothered out before they do quaint deeds and fully flaunt their pride." She'll be flaunting her pride. She'll be singing Bach, Liszt, Gounod, Mozart, Saint-Saëns, Rossini, Bedard, and more. So that'll be a heck of a concert. And there will be Bach masterpieces as interludes in between her singing. They always do that at the Roman Catholic Cathedral at Moscow. So that's your 1-2 punch, if you allow me to call it that way, from Artbene and the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow to end the year 2024. They will certainly be back with a lot of live streams every week in 2025. What do we have next? Oh, we have something very interesting. Let me get that photo up for you. Oh, yes. Happy New Year from St. Petersburg, where the Mariinsky Theater will be live streaming a New Year's concert with the theater's Stradivarius Ensemble and their opera company's rising star, soprano Inara Kozlovskaya, singing light romantic works by Strauss, Lehar, Tchaikovsky, Offenbach, that kind of operetta thing. More details in our live stream reports. This is the 242nd year of the Mariinsky Theater. It's been around since the 1860s. Now, they call this ensemble, which is a house group of musicians, the Mariinsky Stradivarius Ensemble, because they perform on venerable instruments of the kind that are famous for their quality over the years. They're playing on Amati, Stradivari, Guarneri, Guadagnini, and Goffriller instruments. So those of you who are early music specialists who are just very interested in the instruments being used, this is a great concert for you. As for Kozlovskaya, she graduated from the Gitis Faculty of Musical Theater in 2011, joined the Mariinsky Academy of Young Opera Singers right away, and continued in it until 2021. Until in 2022, she joined the Mariinsky Opera Company. And she has played title roles in such operas as Norma and Tosca, and she's played a lot of other supporting roles, and she sung the Verdi Requiem, and all of her work has been at the Mariinsky Theater and the Bolshoi Theater, first-class venues in Russia. She'll be accompanied by Alexander Trofimov, the tenor, as well as ballet dancers from the Bolshoi Ballet. So that should be a good time. I think I've given you the time already for that concert. If I haven't, here it is. 5 o'clock in the evening, European time, 11 in the morning on the East Coast, 8 in the morning on the West Coast, 7 o'clock Moscow time on Tuesday, December 31st. Happy New Year. Also on New Year's Eve, at the same time as the Mariinsky Theater, I don't know how you're going to be able to choose between them. There's another concert that I need to tell you about. I think, it's at exactly the same time. It's early in the evening. For New Year's, the St. Petersburg Philharmonic offers you a New Year's concert of what they call symphonic miniatures, selections from operas and from ballets. This will include in the first part selections from Tchaikovsky, Johann Strauss, Glinka, Bizet, Grieg, Rimsky-Korsakov, and others. And in the second part selections from Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker. Enjoy. And then the New Year's Eve live streams that we have to tell you about, they conclude with a couple of great live streams. I don't know how you're going to be able to choose between them. Let me call up another picture for you there to get us started. The Hamburg Elbphilharmonie and the Cologne Sinfonietta offer you competing star-studded New Year's Eve concerts at 6 o'clock European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 on the West Coast. Cologne has hotshot conductor Andris Poga and the sweet soprano soloist Julia Bullock. And in Hamburg, it's the venerable Esa-Pekka Salonen conducting and hotshot violinist Pekka Kuusisto from Finland. Happy New Year from Deutschland. There's more in our live stream reports about that. I don't know how you choose between them. We start out with, you have the picture there. That's Julia Bullock. All right. This is the WDR Symphony, also known as the Köln Sinfonietta, or the Cologne Phil, actually. They'll be playing Bernstein and Gershwin. The conductor that they brought in is Andris Poga. Now, for me, Andris Poga is one of those conductors where I say, who? And then I look him up and I go, oh, he's the former director of the Latvian National Orchestra. He's now with the Stavanger Orchestra. He's a regular guest with the Elbphilharmonie, with the Cologne Philharmonie, with the symphonies in Berlin, Tokyo, and Sydney. And that's just part of the list. When he was starting out, he was an assistant to Paavo Järvi at the Orchestre de Paris, well, which makes sense since they're both Finnish. And he also served, though, as an assistant conductor at the Boston Symphony Orchestra. I mean, this is an international guy working his way up. And they'll also have the Cologne Radio Choir, which is excellent. And they'll be doing, let me tell you about the pieces they'll do. They'll be doing Bernstein's Divertimento. They'll be doing George Gershwin's Suite from Porgy and Bess. And then they'll be doing freedom songs, 5 freedom songs by Jesse Montgomery, who's a 40-ish American composer. Now, these are songs based on traditional Afro-American music. They were composed for Julia Bullock, and Julia Bullock just happens to be singing them at this concert. If you want to know what she's up to these days, rather than giving you the detailed biography here, she'll be touring with an orchestra called the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment in January. They'll be playing at Saffron Hall, then in London, then at Berkeley, California, then Santa Barbara, then at 92 NY, which is always the highest quality concerts. And then she'll be singing with the Baltimore Symphony, where she'll do the 5 freedom songs again. Then in the spring, she's appearing in Antony and Cleopatra at the New York Met in May and June. She's the cat's meow. And she's singing songs that were composed for her to sing. How do you pass that up? There will be singing with her Alfred Walker, a baritone. But folks, I can't talk about everybody. It would take too much time. I got to talk about the ones that stand out most. And Julia Bullock stands out. I'll tell you that. So anyway, so now that's the first concert that you have to choose from, which is at 6 o'clock in the evening, European time, or noon on the East Coast, or 9 in the morning on the West Coast. Maybe it's too early in the day for you at all. But if you love this kind of music, it's not too early in the day. It's never too early in the day. But then this is followed by another terrific concert, okay? At the same time, 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve at 6 in the evening, European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 on the West Coast, the Elbphilharmonie with Esa-Pekka Salonen. Well, here's what they're doing. They're doing Richard Strauss' Also sprach Zarathustra. If you don't know the music from that title, it's the music that went with, that became the soundtrack of 2001, A Space Odyssey. Okay, so it's bombastic. They'll be winding up with Ravel's Bolero, which is always a great crowd pleaser. These are 2 lovely pieces to get charged up with on New Year's Eve. And in between, they're doing the violin concerto by Bryce Dessner, Well, who's Bryce Dessner? Well, do I have a picture? Do we have a picture? Yeah, there he is. He's in the picture. He's the guitarist on the right, the electric guitarist who plays with a band called The National. He's a Paris-based American composer and rock musician, and he composed a violin concerto, and they brought in Pekka Kuusisto to play it. Now, who's Pekka Kuusisto? Well, he's only the artistic director of the Norwegian Chamber Orchestra and the principal guest conductor and artistic co-director of the Helsinki Philharmonic. He's a violinist, a conductor, a composer himself. In October, we told you about he was live streaming with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra because their new principal guest conductor, Tabita Berglund from Norway, brought him in to play another contemporary piece, Anna Klein's Time and Tides. So so New Year's Eve is playing another contemporary piece by a rock guitarist. This is a lovely combination, and honestly, I don't know how you choose between Pekka Kuusisto playing Bryce Dessner and Julia Bullock playing songs that were composed for her by Montgomery. Except I say it could depend on your musical taste, which way it leans. But I have no idea what Bryce Dessner's rock and roll violin concerto is likely to come out to. But I can tell you, in the world of chamber music, more and more often, the lines are getting blurred between jazz and classical and electronic music. And so who knows? Anyway, that's what we have for you to end the year on December 30th, December 31st, 2024. I will be back in the next couple days. I'm thinking of putting together a retrospective to remind those of you who are following us or those just discovering us what fantastic live streams we turned up for you and gave you the live links to over the last 6 months. I guarantee you there is more and more live streaming going on. If you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, or you like and follow us on our official Facebook page or our page on X or some of the other platforms where you can see these videos of ours, I guarantee you, you will get access to more than 1,000 links to live streams of opera, ballet, orchestras, chamber music, modern compositions, piano recitals, organ recitals, theater festivals, and more in the course of 2025. So, from me to you, from Access Arts Live to you, Happy New Year, Skål, as we say here in Stockholm. And we'll see you in 2025.